Well, I don't think they will, but if they made like a special sauce, like don't be making like pink glittery sauces.
Godzilla.
And stuff. The purple sauce that they did for the
Stomp
K-pop
juice.
Demon Hunters was nasty.
Godzilla stomp juice.
What?
Or like radioactive blue. Remember when
Ooh,
that would be crazy? But what would it taste like?
Godzilla
Blue?
oil.
Godzilla oil.
Mecha Godzilla oil. Coming to you from Crunchyroll HQ. Believe it or not, it's the anime effect. Each week we bring you the latest news and views from the shows you love. It's pop culture with an anime lens, and they do the thing when I say that.
If you're new to the show, welcome
so
back.
sorry.
Or why did I say if you're new to the show, welcome back? They haven't been
You
here
were
before.
here in a past life.
We kick things off each week with some banter before we dive into
Obviously.
what we are watching. And then after that, we will then explore the biggest anime headlines of the week and dive into our main segment. It's going to be kind of a fun one today.
We have a really good interview today.
Yeah, we have a great interview today, y'all. And of course, before we say goodbye, we end things with everyone's favorite segment. You know what I'm talking about, y'all.
I am your host, Nick Friedman.
Are you sure? Are you not a life model decoy?
Yeah, you're an imposter. Imposter.
I try and do a little
No,
bit.
I'm crewmate.
Oh my God.
No.
It's your boy, LeAlec Murray.
And I'm Leah President.
And together, because there's nothing you can do about it, the three of us are going to see just how powerful random anime really
I have no idea.
the energy is.
See, this is what I walk into every day, ladies and gentlemen.
This week, before we get into the show, Leah and I have to brag a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, our numbers, our swaggy numbers.
So Leah finally convinced me to come play Magic the Gathering with them over the weekend.
Yes, because it was a special weekend. It was Hobbit pre-release.
Hobbit pre-release. How could everyone forget? How could anyone forget?
When you're listening to this, it's actually releasing.
That's true. Yeah, so we played, it's called Two-Headed
Giant.
Dragon.
I always call it Two-Headed Dragon by accident too, but it's
Giant.
Two-Headed Giant, yes.
We played on a team against other people. It was super fun. We won 2 games out of our 3.
Yeah, we went 2-1 and
0.
The last one we lost was literally, we were against like the shop veterans.
Pros,
we
like
lost.
30 years of cardboard flipping.
Cardboard flipping. Cardboard tapping.
It was really fun. It was really fun. That was my first time playing Magic since like college. And all I could think was, man, I want more anime stuff.
Yes.
Here.
Yes, especially because the Miku deck came out this week, all that stuff. But yeah, sealed is like my favorite format.
There are a few things in life Leah is more serious about than Magic the Gathering, and one of them is our top story this week, Attack on Titan. After all, it seems one of the biggest RPGs in the past decade wouldn't have happened without Eren Yeager.
Yes, very exciting.
Our anime effects story this week.
I need to think about how to phrase it. Okay, go ahead. Go.
Effectively reveals that Claire Obscura Expedition 33.
Yes.
Like we talked about it on the show plenty. It itself is inspired by things like Persona. And now I know, thanks to Automaton Media, that it was inspired by Attack on Titan.
What isn't inspired by Attack on Titan a little bit? It's the, I was going to say something a little controversial.
What?
It's
What were you
the
gonna say?
Akira of its day. Think about it. Think about how many inspirations there are coming
I
from
know,
AOT.
but like, think about the difference in the Western permeation of anime when Akira came out versus Attack on Titan. Like,
true.
I'm not saying Attack on Titan's not influential. I'm just saying you can't really have another Akira moment.
No.
You're right. What would be the Akira moment? I don't even know.
Well, there just kind of isn't one.
Yeah.
And I think to some extent we probably haven't seen what that one thing was. Because Akira was
I know,
like,
I'm just
boom,
trying to
there's
give it
movie.
a lot of
I know,
props.
but
I love it.
deserves anyway. The quote, I think one of the anime that inspired me for Expedition 33's story was Attack on Titan. I really like the idea of a group of heroes fighting together, and I especially love the uniform. When you see any character from Attack on Titan, you instantly know they're an Attack on Titan character because of the uniform. That's something I really wanted to bring over into Expedition 33, making the game recognizable just from its uniforms.
And
So
it
it's
is.
uniform centric,
Yeah.
this inspiration.
Yep. And to follow up on that, Quote again, in fact, I'm rewatching Attack on Titan right now because I haven't watched it for at least 6 years. I'm on season 4 now, almost at the end, and really, it's an absolute masterpiece for me.
Yes.
Leah did not write this quote. That is in that Automaton story from director Guillaume Broche on the game.
Yes. Let me know what you think about the ending, because...
Well, I think it's a rewatch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a rewatch.
Oh, a rewatch?
Yeah, rewatch. Yeah, he's
Oh, rewatching. Okay. I was like,
I guess that doesn't change your
calling
request.
it out. Like,
yeah, I mean, the request doesn't
If you want to
change.
come onto the show and talk about your thoughts on Attack on Titan, you are more than welcome to come and attend and be here with us, because we all played it. Did you all play Expedition 33?
So good,
Fantastic game.
Incredible.
Have you played it yet, Leah?
No, I have not.
Oh my! Well, now you have to because of the inspiration.
I think so. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's good marketing
It is a
because now I'll
fantastic
try
game.
it.
Very refreshing.
You know what?
Very
It
refreshing.
is. It's very refreshing.
Yep. Good lore too. Clearly, the team
Good
behind
lord, that looks like a good game.
Clearly, the team behind the game has good taste. Now, we just need to wait for them to make the Attack on Titan turn-based RPG of our dreams, because there's already a pretty solid Muso game. But while we wait for that one to drop, it's time to get into what we're watching. All right, rapid fire this week, y'all. We got a lot to cover.
We do.
But we also have some good picks this week. And I'm going to throw it over to LeAlec Murray. Popcorn! LeAlec.
Did
Well, let me edit
did
this
he just
stop.
say popcorn?
Just popcorn.
Wow. Guys, this week I watched Samurai Troopers.
Okay, the new one or the original?
The new one.
Okay.
The new one. It's continuing this season, and me kind of watching this series based off of our guest will kind of make sense.
Agreed.
But I absolutely loved the original one growing up. It's probably like in that like handful of anime I watched as a kid that I didn't know was an anime, and then I grew up and was like, oh hey,
Yeah, because it was
always there.
it was on a broadcast channel?
It was broadcast.
That's crazy.
It was on a broadcast channel. But I really love this new iteration.
This is Mecha?
It's more toku.
Okay.
It's more toku for sure.
Yeah, that makes
I mean, I can see where you think it's mecha because the suits are very.
They're in mecha suits.
They're very mech suits, but it's more tokusatsu than anything. But I mean, I love this new team of characters.
Nice.
They even integrate the old red leader from the original one. He's
I
back
love
in the
stuff
show
like that.
because he shows up.
So it's a legacy
So
sequel.
it's a legacy sequel. So I'm really in love with it. I totally forgot that it was like being split into 2 cores. So I just
a core is basically 12 episodes.
yes. So I logged in to Crunchyroll the other day and I was like,
radioactive core.
it's back. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. So if you
where are
want to
you watching
watch this one and the original one, actually, they're both on Crunchyroll. Young Nicholas.
Okay, so I am digging into my like on hold list.
Yeah, I need to do that too.
On my
I have
anime
so-
list,
so
because
many.
I was watching seasonal stuff and I caught up for everything that I was watching.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I could go watch something that isn't anime, but why would I want to do that? So I went to my on hold list and I was like, first thing that immediately like piques my interest again, I'm going to go to it. So
Sure.
this aired last year.
good.
It was actually nominated for Best Original Anime at the
yes,
Anime
it
Awards.
was.
But Apocalypse Hotel.
Oh,
So good.
yeah.
So-
I know
So
this
good.
one.
I watched about half of it before I put it on hold because that was I think it was a crazy season. What season isn't? But this is set in the apocalypse at a hotel
What?
that is run by robots.
Yeah.
Because humans have long ago left the earth.
Yep.
And the owner of the hotel basically tasked his robot staff with keeping the hotel operating.
This is like the movie Passengers.
Well, it's not. It's not really like that movie.
It's like
They're tasked with
Wall-E.
They're tasked with more like Wall-E, much more like
Wall-E
Wall-E.
Passengers.
They're tasked with keeping this hotel operating until one day humans return. Well, I don't remember exactly how long it's been, but it's been a very long time.
So we don't think they're returning.
This is very Pacopia coded for
It
me
is very
right now.
Pacopia coded. Wall-E is a really good pull because there's a robot who's like testing the air quality
Yeah.
and stuff.
Eva.
But effectively, the hotel becomes, through the course of the series, a place where aliens come and stay. Different extraterrestrials from different planets. It's
like Foster's.
They all have such unique designs and languages, and like some of the episodes feel like bottle episodes. There's a family of like Tanuki that move in
That's so funny.
to the hotel and start like throwing their around. It's like a whole thing. Phenomenal series.
Yeah.
I finished it. I think I gave it a 9. It was like, it's
Whimsy.
quite poignant. It has a lot to say about humanity
Yeah.
and the care we put into little things and just how we upkeep our lives every day in hopes that something amazing is on its way. It's really, really good. I recommend everyone watch it. It's only 12 episodes. And it's on Crunchyroll. You can check it out there.
I also recommend this one. It's very good.
Very, very good. Leah President.
Okay, so this anime that I'm watching, I have to be careful not to say East of Eden because it's Eden of the East.
It is different than East of Eden.
It is, it is not East of Eden, and it's not an adaptation or inspired by it in any way that I know of. It has a really funny first couple episodes because, well, first of all, it takes place in America, the first episode.
Oh.
You have this main character who I'm assuming is a spy. I think that's what they're alluding to. He has this special like spy gadget phone with like this like electronic assistant who's like, oh yeah, you told me to erase your memories, so I did. And he wakes up like naked.
It's like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
On the White House lawn.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Like they're in like the
so
National
that you
Mall.
know it is set in America.
Yes. And he runs into this girl who's literally leaving her American vacation. Like she's got her passport, everything
she's
like
headed back
ready to
home?
leave.
Okay.
She's got her suitcases going to the airport and she runs into him because she was like trying to throw coins onto the White House lawn or like into the fountain or something like that. She gets confronted by like some police or whatever and like the naked guy gets her out of it by like waving
Not the
gun
other way around? Wait, what?
and like they're
What
like
is this
chase
show,
him
bro?
and then he gets away from them and loops back around and is like, hey, what's up?
Did he
And
find
she's like-
clothes when he looped?
She gave him her coat, hat, and scarf, and then was like, oh no, I left my passport in the coat because he took off down the street. And so she like went on to like follow him, and we're kind of discovering that he is part of some kind of secret society of spies, and there was like some kind of like attack on Japan in the area that they were going back to.
Okay.
And I think he might be tied to it, but I don't know yet. They keep saying a bunch of these like code words to signify that he's like part of this society. And they end up going back to Japan together. And yeah, she's kind of getting like looped up in his whole thing. So
Well,
honestly, it's a mystery we have to unravel.
Are you going to keep on with it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think this is a fun one.
And where can you watch it?
On Crunchyroll.
There's also 2 movies, so you've got.
There
Are they
is?
recap movies or are they canon movies?
I think they're canon.
It's
Yeah.
very
I'm looking it up right
much
now.
giving like silly, like funny spy,
Silly Goofy Spy.
silly goofy spy, but at the same time, I feel like there's some kind of underlying, more serious plot going on here.
They're all in a simulation.
So, yeah, and the main character looks like Yor's brother
Oh,
from Spy Family.
isn't his name
So I'm like,
Yuri?
oh my gosh, this
his
is
name
like
Yuri?
this feels like an
don't remember.
AU.
Yuri
Yeah, his
Forger?
name's
Yeah.
Yuri Forger. I was like, this feels like an AU fanfic because it looks just like him,
And
and
he's
he's
a spy.
also like a government spy. I think we talk each week about what we are watching. So the real, however, the real question is, what are you watching?
Me?
What
I
are
just
you
told you.
watching? Not you, the people at home.
You.
Drop us your own recommendations in the comments below.
And in a 5-star review on
And a
Apple
5-star
Podcasts.
review on Apple Podcasts. Yes, it's time to break into the news.
Let's do it. We got a short news segment this week because
just a little bit.
we get into it in our segment with our special guest that we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But we have 2 things we want to tell you about. One of them I know our showrunner is really excited about
Yes.
because she's super into Genshin Impact. But I don't know if you guys saw this. Crunchyroll and Genshin Impact are teaming up. The collaboration is ongoing right now. And yes, it includes the cute art we just showed you.
Right, man.
You can head to the Crunchyroll news article to see some details and then click through to the page to see if you're a qualifying member and can get some cool
Gems and stuff.
yeah, gems. You can also get the exclusive Neo Terminal floating leaf model gadget pet.
That was a lot.
Should I play Genshin Impact again? Because I played it when it launched.
I did too.
And I was like, this is
Yeah.
awesome. And then
So
like new
cool,
games
like
come out like
AAA
literally every
quality.
3 days.
Yeah.
So, but I've been thinking about diving back in. You know,
AAA quality iPad game.
we could squad up. Do you squad?
Squat up, squat up.
Do you squad?
I'm down.
Genshin?
No, I'm a loner.
Oh, you're a loner.
I'm a loner.
Okay. That doesn't sound fun. You know,
for you, maybe.
All right, Leah and I will be over here playing Genshin Impact together.
Yeah.
Our showrunner sent us a note that said, yes, join me. I am maxed level.
Yes.
All right. And the other piece of news this week, actually, I saw this morning and I was like, I wonder if this is going to end up in our outline.
It did.
Hello Kitty Godzilla collab coming to McDonald's Happy Toys.
Hilarious, cute, and wonderful.
I saw someone post about how that Kuropi is Ghidorah. And they were like, they meant something by this.
Yeah.
Good stuff, y'all. Anyway, McDonald's is teaming up with Hello Kitty and Godzilla for a limited edition Happy Meal toy collection launching August 18th. And despite the fact that you're like, oh, it's a Happy Meal, it's for kids. No. They're for us. We ride.
I just hope that if they make a
since mentioning
special
Godzilla on the pod.
You just hope what?
Well, I don't think they will, but if they made like a special sauce, like don't be making like pink glittery sauces.
Godzilla
and stuff. The purple sauce that they did for the
stomp juice.
K-pop Demon Hunters was nasty.
Godzilla stomp juice.
What?
Or like radioactive blue. Remember when
Ooh,
that would be crazy? But what would it taste like?
Godzilla
Blue
oil.
Godzilla oil.
Mecha Godzilla oil.
No, I think we're onto something with the Godzilla blue.
What would that taste like?
Thing.
The blue flame. Probably tastes like
Like
Rainbow
the blue,
Love.
like the blue flame Takis.
Probably tastes like Rainbow Love.
Blue flame Takis.
Anyway, all of these toys look incredibly
They're
cool.
cute.
Yeah,
I
we definitely put a photo on the screen when we were talking about it, right?
definitely,
Yeah.
And here
The-
it is again.
If you think that this is all the anime news you need, you're wrong. We've got a whole website for it. If you want the full scoop on all the anime headlines, features, guides, watch orders, amazing interviews beyond what we do here on this show,
In and out orders.
head over.
Cookbooks.
No, there are some recipes
There are
on
some
the
recipes.
Crunchyroll News website. Head over to Crunchyroll News, which is linked down below. Also, this is
Sleeper
where I'm going to
agent
plug the
codes.
fact that next week I'm going to be at, I'll be on the show, but by the time the episode comes out, I'll be at Anime NYC doing a Crunchyroll News 15th anniversary panel. So I'm really excited to do that with the team, with Kyle and Joe and Bree. Anyway, right now we're going to head into our main segment to welcome our big special guest for this week, Ellipses.
Some may say our radiant guest.
Oh.
Ellipses.
Y'all, today's guest happens to know a thing or two about superheroes. Maybe just a little bit. Kyle Higgins is the best-selling writer behind Radiant Black and the rest of the Massiveverse, as well as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Ultraman, Nightwing, and so much more. He spent his career refining all things superheroes and tokusatsu while making fans face their very complicated feelings about adulthood, which is incredibly true.
I'm having complicated feelings about adulthood.
That's pretty much
Every
like
day.
that's my metronome.
Every day.
Is
Yeah.
those complicated feelings. That is right. We are talking comics, anime, Japanese pop culture, and why putting a transformation sequence into any medium automatically makes it better. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Woo!
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I was really curious where the rest of that intro was going.
We never know. We never know.
Well, just like what were we going to confront? Because there are so many things. I thought you were going to say we have to confront our relationship or feelings about tokusatsu or insert or superheroes or insert a million things. But confronting your life after your dreams haven't worked out, definitely the better, more terrifying angle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Wait, no. Let's go back to Toku. Let's do Toku instead.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's connected. You spent years working on Power Rangers and Ultraman as well as Radiant Black. So what is one thing Japanese tokusatsu does that Hollywood superhero movies need to steal?
Well, I think there's two. That's a great question. I think there's two things. The first is a very kind of practical thing, and I think the second one is a little bit more of a spiritual thing. On the practical front, I'm also a filmmaker. I love superhero movies. I love movies just in all ways, shapes, and forms.
Yeah.
My dad used to build miniatures, though, not for movies, but for model railroads. You probably know where I'm going with this. Toku has this long celebrated prideful history of practical effects.
Yes.
And the focus on building things for real to do in camera, whether it be the suits or a lot of the larger than life work that you see in like Ultraman with miniature scale. Obviously, we know that stuff from Power Rangers in the West, but like Ultraman's still doing it. Like they're still doing full on miniature work and everything. So that's the first thing. I mean, you can also like, it's not like a crazy take either. Like you look at the success Spider-Man is having right now. And I do think that there are, I hate to use the word vibes, but there are vibes around that movie that are 100% in part due to this kind of like narrative of how kind of like handcrafted everything is in the movie and how much is done in camera. And, you know, I'm not even talking just like the action that's being done in camera, like everything from the way that they went back in and reworked the suit, and you started to feel more of the seam lines and the creases and the wrinkles, and that kind of like imperfection is what makes it more accessible and I think more tangible. And I think in this day and age especially, audiences are they're I mean, everyone's tired of being sold to across the board, but audiences in particular, I feel like value authenticity, both from an emotional standpoint, but also from a physical standpoint. And so that's the big logistics thing I wish we would see. I would love to see more superhero stuff do more in camera. And I also think that like the kind of authorship, especially the visual authorship of a superhero movie has been completely decimated in the last 10 years, maybe longer actually. The like homogenization of style that has happened as a result of the kind of rise of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And, you know, we understand why it happens. You want all these movies to feel like they fit in the same place. But I find that essentially the style was set by Maddie Lieboutique on Iron Man 1. And Maddie's a brilliant cinematographer, one of our greatest living cinematographers. Every movie after that has kind of been shades of Maddie Lieboutique, but not done most of the time nearly as well. With, again, no disrespect to the artists making these movies, you are chasing now kind of a house style. And I think that, you know, the era of superhero movies that I loved, that I was growing up during, and I was a teenager during, you know, in the early to mid 2000s, there was this perfect combination of, you know, CG had gotten really, really good. And especially for hard-edged objects and hard lighting and things like that, you could get away with a lot. Getting things to look, you know, passingly photoreal. But the other reason for that was because you weren't essentially rendering an entire frame whole cloth. Like there was a practical integration. Yeah,
essentially now it's almost like an animated film you're watching, like shot after shot.
Yeah. With previs and all of that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and you're definitely onto something too.
It's that, but it's even deeper, because when you were using CG in the early to mid 2000s, because you couldn't do literally everything, you had to plan much more carefully. So there were choices being made about what you were shooting as plate photography, because you had to shoot plate photography. Go back and look at that first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And look at how well, and in the second
it does hold up.
How well that CG holds up.
Well,
it holds up so good.
And it's because there is an authorial quality to those movies, whether it's driven by the director, really. In that case with Pirates, it's Gore Verbinski. And why the camera is where it is has been like, it's just, there's more craft behind it, I find, than a lot of current stuff that we see. Just because you can do anything now doesn't mean you should do anything. So sorry, that's a long-winded answer. It's my first thing.
It's a great
second,
answer.
And I was going to say the second thing, and I can be more brief with this, is that I think tokusatsu has a much stronger relationship, or a much more comfortable relationship with with theme and ambiguity.
Right.
And I think that there tends to be, I find with a lot of the material that I watch, there's a almost like spirituality to the storytelling and some of the themes that they're exploring that that really resonates for me. And I think that Toku has a really good at literalizing the metaphorical.
Yeah.
And so by creating threats for characters that are the literalization of fears or the character arc, there is a marriage between character story and theme that I don't think we always really nail in Hollywood superheroes.
Yeah,
it's a great answer.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I want to go back to like what you were saying about everything looking the same. Like, I've always had this theory that superhero movies at the greatest are when they are genre films with the wrapping of a superhero, right? So like one of my favorite Marvel movies is Winter Soldier. It's a great like spy espionage film, but just happens to have superheroes in it. And I think why we loved this new Spider-Man so much is Destin Daniel Cretton does so great at telling the story in between the story. Like as a wrestling fan, it's always like, how can you tell the story in the ring and not just outside of like the promos, right? And he does that very well. He did the same thing with Shang-Chi, did the same thing with Wonder Man. It's like, what's the story inside the story? And it's very well put.
Yeah, I love the Winter Soldier film. I've written Bucky Barnes a bit. He's another favorite of mine. But even that movie, it is aesthetically very much in the wheelhouse of every Marvel movie before it.
It is.
And I think that's my big thing, is that when we didn't have the shared universe that we have now, I think there were oftentimes more visually interesting choices being made because you weren't like, go look at what Guillermo del Toro is doing in Hellboy and Hellboy 2. And then compare that to any Marvel movie of the last 10 years or so. And it's like, I'm not saying one is better or worse. I'm saying that my preference is I like the unique choices that are being made in something like Hellboy, where the whole movie and all the choices in it, including the visual choices, feel authorial. They feel like they're being crafted by someone who is has a vision and is making a coherent piece of art and storytelling.
So what are your thoughts on, just out of curiosity, like some of the new trailers that are coming out for like Clayface, for example, where they're kind of spinning it as like a horror movie and kind of giving it like a creepy vibe with this DC character?
I love it. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, is like, I like seeing, it's the same reason, like as a comic book fan growing up, most readers, myself especially, followed characters. And then at a certain point, I stopped following characters and I started following creators. I want to see what the choices the creators make on the characters that they are tasked with writing for, or new characters if it's creator owned work. So stuff like Clayface, where it's embracing this, not only being a horror film, but this kind of like body dysmorphia film that feels more Cronenberg than anything. It's like, I'm into it. Like, play to the strengths of the material that you're working with, and like find a way to take full advantage of those strengths. And I just so I'm super into that. Yeah,
dude.
Very cool. Yeah.
I want to talk about a series that plays to its strengths for sure and has a very clear visual identity, certainly here in the West, that you've been a part of. Power Rangers.
Yes, that is good.
He's like, where are you guys going?
Look under your chair. I'm kidding.
He's like, do I need MapQuest for this?
So,
I love a good. I didn't think I'd had a MapQuest reference before 2:00 on my bingo card today.
I want to talk about creating original characters in a world like Power Rangers that has this very, it has a diehard fan base that's super engaged. It has a history. It has lore. It's, people have grown up with it. They've gone into their adult lives with it. When you create a character in a world like this that fans really run with, do you immediately get this sense of like, oh, I nailed it, I knew it? Or does it take a while for you to recognize that you've found something that fits so seamlessly into this world?
It really is kind of a case-by-case basis, especially depending on the property. Like with something like Power Rangers, I grew up a big Power Ranger fan when I was a kid.
Yep.
Over the years, as I started writing professionally, and I started really in like 2009, my first book at Marvel came out, I always kind of had a passing familiarity with the fandom and the property, just because I would duck in from time to time to see like whatever happens to this character or this story, So it made it, I think, a little easier to create a character that felt like it could excite other fans, because it was exciting to me as a fan. That said, like I'll totally admit, like we didn't know Lord Draken was going to take off like that. I mean, originally...
Really? I feel like you guys knew.
No, so it always starts from a place of story for me, like first and foremost. And Lord Draken was what became Lord Draken. The very early version of it was in the pitch from day one, because my way into Power Rangers was that for the book, I should say, I didn't want to tell new origins. I didn't want to touch the origins, because I just knew that would be like a third rail. Right. Well, yeah, I did it for the right reasons. I didn't want notes. Yeah. So if I were to if we were to tell a story that touched on the origin, I was just coming off of doing Nightwing for the New 52, which was another huge kind of pressure cooker situation of like reinvention, but not really reinvention, and trying to make it accessible while honoring the things that had just come in the months before. And, Grant Morrison was still doing his Batman story. So all that stuff still counted. So it was an interesting kind of, navigating tactic that prepared me really well for Power Rangers. But my way in became the Green Ranger. And if Power Rangers is about the strength of friendship and teamwork, then I wanted to explore that idea through the lens of a new member joining the team. And when Tommy joins the team in the show, it's like they spend 5 episodes with him in Green with Evil, and then the next episode he's just like a full-fledged member of the team, like nothing happened, like he hadn't just spent 2 weeks trying to kill them, right? And so that became my like North Star, where I was like, oh, that I want to explore, because like the self-doubt that you would have as Tommy potentially, as well as like how these kids would feel about him. And it's like, does that edict of we're better together apply when this person, it was against his will, he was brainwashed, but he spent weeks trying to kill them. So you just you welcome him with open arms. Can you do that? You're a teenager. Like, are you emotionally mature enough to do that? So all of that became really interesting to me. And so when I outlined essentially the first year of the book, it stretched to 16 issues, because we were having a lot of fun exploring this stuff. I knew that the threat from the first arc was going to turn out to be a Zord from essentially an older evil version of the White Ranger, from an alternate timeline where he chose to stay with Rita. And that was designed from the get-go, because if you're Tommy and you're talking about the arc, the first thing that Bulk and Skull ask Tommy in issue 0 of Power Rangers is, what does Power Rangers mean to him? And he doesn't have an answer. By the end of issue, I think it's 16 or 17, after he's gone through this huge trial in Angel Grove, after he and Billy were then transported to an alternate timeline where we literalized his greatest fear. Can I do this? Do I belong to this? His greatest fear. What happens if that darkness is really me, is a part of me, and I could do all these terrible things? Well, he overcomes that by beating the character that becomes Lord Draken. Then at the end of that story, he finally gives an answer to Bulk and Skull, which he talks about we're better together. So it's like the introduction to that character came from a place of like looking to create a dark mirror cautionary tale manifestation of Tommy's greatest fears for him to overcome. When we got closer to actually publishing the character and designing him and all those things, Saban, I wrote up this backstory for how the green and white Ranger powers would be in conflict and everything. And it was Saban that was suggesting, why don't we create him as a new character? Because there hadn't been a new Mighty Morphin Power Ranger in 25 years. And that was the angle that I didn't see back then, which was like, oh, if we position him as a new character, everything we want to do narratively still applies.
Right.
But it is something that could resonate within that fandom, especially because everyone was really excited about the story and they thought that, the goods were there from a story and character standpoint. So we thought it would hit, but I didn't think it was going to turn into kind of what it turned into.
Right. Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Did I answer your question?
Yes.
I just told the story and stuff.
Yes,
Thoroughly,
you did.
thoroughly.
Very much did.
Also, I guess with that, I guess you didn't see that the lore pieces that you added to Power Rangers would just become static canon, right? Like when people talk about Power Rangers now, they talk about it more from your aspect and less of and what your team did and less of like the TV show. And is that surprising to you that's like you're so interlinked now?
We worked really, really hard on those books, like really, really hard. And there were a lot of people behind the scenes that were responsible for this. I wrote the books, like I charted the kind of creative trajectory and path there within the confines of, Boom going out and getting the license and convincing Saban Hasbro that like, this can be really additive to your brand. Mm-hmm. And there had never really been the level of quality of art and images for Power Rangers that Boom ended up providing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that was an angle as a part of the negotiations, which was like, before the Boom comics, if you Google Power Rangers, you weren't finding key art at the level of quality of that you would find now, because Boom commissioned hundreds, if not thousands of gorgeous pieces and covers over the years.
I have a lot of them.
I remember being with you when you bought one.
But I think that like when I was doing it, I was aware of what an incredible platform and opportunity we found ourselves in. There were all these like almosts that happened too, where like we almost did a big live action series set in the world of Coinless. But when Hasbro bought everything, it all got put on hold, and then everything ended up, they didn't pursue anything. Right. Because when you buy a property, you want to take assessment of like, okay, where are we at? What did we just buy? And what are our plans for it? And anything that doesn't have finished contracts, you're gonna, sit on. It's also one of those things where like, they've done action figures out of a lot of the stuff that I created. Yep. And that's awesome. I don't get any of those action figures, so it's not double-edged in the way that it's like, oh man, it'd be cool to get action figures. Although it would be cool to get action figures.
Evergreen statement.
It's more like when you play with your favorite toys in someone else's sandbox, eventually you have to put the toys back. And I think that's the part that's like, I got used to it at DC. And so it's the same kind of feeling with Power Rangers, where it's like, I'm incredibly proud of what I did, but I had to accept a long time ago that like, I have no stake in or claim in the material that I created. Right. Do you know what I mean? It's part of my job as a writer and a creator is like, to be a filter. Like I'm hired as a filter, whether it be making something of someone else's for comics or in audio or for even, screenwriting. Like you're kind of hiring someone like me for their voice, but that also means that like you have to be able to kind of move on and find other avenues to apply your voice, kind of from project to project.
Kind of like love it and then let it go type vibes.
Well, I think that is a good segue.
So a lot of superhero stories start with teenagers learning that they're special. They have some kind of special ability. Yeah. But Radiant Black starts with a guy in his 30s who is in debt, doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. How does the traditional superhero fantasy change when your hero is already disillusioned by being an adult?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny how that does change things, isn't it? That was definitely a conscious choice that we were making at the beginning of Radiant Black when we were building the book. There are different theories in the industry about creator-owned superheroes and how like every 10 years or so there's like a window for a new kind of creator-owned superhero to like really penetrate and like make its mark. Mm-hmm. And we felt like with the kind of wind at our back that we had going into Radiant Black, just with the opportunity that was there at Image, the state of the market, but also the state of superheroes, we felt like, oh, this could really do something here. But as someone who's written a lot of teenage superheroes, I was like 35 when I was starting Radiant Black, and I was like, you know what? I've seen that story so many times. I've written that story so many times. Right. I'm way more interested in the story about life after your dreams haven't gone according to plan.
Sure.
And like, especially like I've been in LA now for 21 years, something like that. I've seen so many friends leave and have to move back home. Some have come back, some haven't. I've seen people have to change careers 2 times over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are these challenges for our generation and the generations younger than us that are very real. And writing a story about a 30-something-year-old coming to terms with the choices in his life and how things have gone, but getting a second chance now to do something meaningful by way of this miniature black hole, it afforded us this tone that allowed for a little bit more kind of meta-modernism, like a little bit more meta-ness. So like if you look at Radiant Black, like there's literally a scene in issue 3 where Nathan and Marshall are trying to come up with a name for him, and they're referencing like, should I be Black Radiant? He's like, if you're a 1970s Marvel character, sure, you know. Like, when I tell people about the book, sometimes if they like Power Rangers, I'll describe it as I'll describe Radiant Black as like Power Rangers with adult problems.
Yes, absolutely. It is absolutely.
Outside the suit.
But I actually just think the marriage of like a slightly older antagonist or older antagonists mixed with kind of like the realities of our society, even just from a pop culture standpoint, it ended up working really well, and it's created something I think fairly unique.
Yeah, I think that ties into another question I had, which, you know, focuses on that sort of multi-generational tie and getting those audiences. So with manga and tokusatsu, they're having like this massive influence on the new generation of Western creators. Do you think the next big evolution of American superheroes is going to reflect that inspiration?
I mean, I think in some ways we already are experiencing that. Like, we're 30 years after the anime boom of the 90s now. And so there's this whole current generation of up and coming writers and artists who grew up on Sailor Moon and Pokemon and Dragon Ball. And so, you know, universes like the Massiverse and the Absolute books at DC with self-contained stories in chronological numbered volumes. We have adaptations like My Adventures with Superman.
So good.
It's incredible.
Across the Spider-Verse. I think it's already happened. So I fully expect it to continue. I mean, I can tell you, even just on the art side of things, like one of the things that's happened in the last 5 or 6 years since I started my little company, Black Market Narrative, is we hire a lot of artists, both for interiors as well as covers. And so I get a lot of artists reaching out to me, a lot of new artists too, that either get a hold of my email or it comes through an agent. By the way, please don't cold, if you're watching this, please don't take that as an invitation to cold email me, because I don't unless the pages are if the pages are really, really good, just be honest with yourself. Listen, if they're really good, like, please drop me a line. But if they're, you know that you need to work on some things.
I'm going to put my portfolio away now. Thanks a lot. Wow.
Drag to trash can.
But I will tell you, the number of insanely talented Italian artists that have all grown up binging anime and manga.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many. We work with so many Italians in the Massiverse because we love that kind of cell-shaded,
it's incredible,
anime-influenced look for modern superheroes. So yeah, I think it will continue.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, I think we got one more. Lee, do you want to do the honors?
Let's say someone loves anime and manga but has never really gotten into American comics. What is one book to convince them? What book are you pulling out?
Well, I mean, the go-to right now is Absolute Batman for sure. Like that has been, I mean, that book has a huge shout out to Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta and Frank Martin. Like that book has completely changed the landscape of American comics. Right
1,000%.
Like the numbers that book is doing are crazy. And, I was talking to somebody a couple months ago about this. Actually, it was Jim Viscardi, who's at Image.
Okay.
And Jim was saying, his theory is that, and I don't know that this is an original theory or not, but his theory is that the generation of comic readers that grew up on Dogman has finally gotten here.
Yes.
Like there was this whole generation of readers that were binging those books, and now they're of age to buy, to get into monthly comics in the direct market. But they went manga first.
Yeah.
And now it's things like Absolute Batman that are bringing them in. So, I mean, probably a point to that. I mean, I'd like to think that Radiant Black would also be a good entry point. But I can't, I can't just pitch my own.
What do you
think we do on this show? This show is about manifesting.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
I do have to agree with that, in the aspect of like Absolute Batman. Like I have never seen the landscape of comics be not only this shaken up, but also kind of like revitalized.
It feels like that Ultimate Universe moment from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Of like this sets the pace for
absolutely.
Cape Comics.
Well, like I'm back at DC now to do Teen Titans.
Oh, I'm so excited. I am so excited.
Sickening.
Thank you. It's part of the like the next level wave of titles. And I can tell you that some of, a lot of this has been spearheaded by Scott and Josh Williamson, along with others at DC. But it's the spirit of the approach is like, how do we take some of the things that we found that really work with the Absolute line, and how do we apply those to other books and other characters as we create accessible access points in the main DCU. So with Teen Titans, Daniele De Nicolo, who drew Shattered Grid and a lot of Power Rangers comics with me and with Ryan Parrott. Yeah. So Daniele and I have teamed back up for Teen Titans, and it's all being colored by Marcelo Costa, who co-created Radiant Black with me. So it's all in the family.
Yes.
Becca Carey's lettering it from our books as well. And if you look at the art, I mean, it definitely it definitely shows its influences in a good way. Like
I've never seen Jason look so cool.
There's a line in issue 1 that the kids say to Jason Todd Red Hood, for those who don't know. He is the reluctant mentor. He is the reluctant mentor to these 14 and 15-year-old kids, our next generation of Teen Titans. But there's a line in issue 1. One of the kids' wildcard says to Jason that I think will definitely it might break Red Hood internet. So it's the spirit of what the original Teen Titans were by kids and for kids is what these kids have ended up kind of accidentally co-opting. But it feels like the kind of thing We're going to be doing an ARG in the DC Comics Discord server as well. So there's like an interactivity and an immersive component. There's some other things with it too that I think, especially for anime fans, there's some stuff coming up for it.
Let's go.
As issue 1 gets closer here that I think anime fans are going to lose their mind over.
This was absolutely incredible. Thank you, Kyle, for coming through and talking to us about Radiant Black and the other heroes that you've worked with.
And Toku. Come on.
And Toku. I'm bearing the lead.
He's been keeping it in the whole time. Like, any opportunity to talk about Toku on the show, that is Lee.
That's me.
So, like, you did great this episode, man.
Kyle, thank you so much, man. This was
much.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
You have definitely kept my tokusatsu flame alive, and hopefully everyone else listening as well.
Everyone listening at home, make sure you check out Kyle's amazing work, including Radiant Black and his new take on Teen Titans. And now, LeAlec, I think it's time we dive into some fan service.
This week, fan service is coming in hot with questions after my own heart. Alex sent us this question that has me
What up, Alex?
channeling The Walking Dead in a major way.
If you could watch a zombie version of any anime series, which would you pick? This feels more Marvel Zombies coded than The Walking Dead coded.
It very much does.
You're not going to like my answer.
You're not going to like my answer.
You're not going to like my answer.
Is it Attack on Titan?
It is.
It's
Because
already basically that.
No, listen.
No.
There is an alternate universe that Aaron dreams up in one of the ending comics that Isayama made, and has sparked 1,000 AU fanfics and fan art and everything, where they're in the zombie apocalypse in their high school world. It really
so it's both
exists.
high school AU and zombie.
So
apocalypse.
technically it does exist, because it's been confirmed that some of those extra universes are canon, because we see them in the Time Storm or whatever. Do you remember that, when you get to see like
the Time Storm? I remember the Time Storm.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that doesn't count then.
No, it does. It literally just says if you could watch a zombie version.
Okay,
of
I would
any
watch a
anime
full version of that one.
Okay.
Also, I think a Magical Girl one would be really cool too.
Magical Girl zombie series.
Yeah.
That's not quite.
Where
Zombieland
she gets
Saga.
like
That's
a
more
zombie
idols.
disease, and she has to keep hiding it and survive as long as she can. Well, she sort of like
Hannah
the
Montana.
Substance.
Oh.
You know, like in the end of The Substance, where like her teeth are falling out, but she's like, I'll still do the New Year's show.
My pick for a zombie version of any anime series I'd want to watch would be Haikyuu.
Okay.
I want to see the boys of Haikyuu have to use their intense upper body strength to take on a zombie horde.
And they would go like this to like a
They like spike a head and just bam, or like
a brain.
They throw like a grenade, and then you'd have to like lob it up in the air, and then bam.
What zombie grenade? What? Like
no, like they have a grenade because they need to use it on the zombies.
Oh, understood.
And it would be
They're the
called-
survivors.
It'd be called Haikyuu.
You put some thought into this.
It seems like you've been thinking about this for a long time.
Nope, I started when the question started.
Yeah.
Started when I started reading the question.
This is a severe yes and.
LeAlec Murray.
I'm going to go with Trigun.
Trigun with zombies.
I'm going to go with Trigun.
Okay.
I think there's a way that you can kind of like redo the whole like the seeds thing, and it like ends up being like
Maybe
a
the seeds
zombie
are like they're
virus
corrupted.
instead,
Oh,
and-
that would be pretty good.
yeah.
What I need to know about
Yeah.
both of yours is what kind of zombies do you have? Do you have fast zombies, slow zombies, sentient
Oh
zombies?
no, we have the whole gambit of zombies. in
Actually,
mind. It's
my
like
take-
fast zombies, slow zombies.
Don't speak for me.
I said mine, not yours.
Oh, I thought you said we have it in mind.
Wow.
That's what I thought you
Wow.
said. That's what I
Wow.
thought
I think
you
the
said.
scariest zombies are from The Sadness. I don't know if you've ever seen. I think it's a Korean film.
Nope.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That was a scary zombie
Okay.
movie.
So mine is imagine
it's a-
Haikyuu,
Contagion movie.
but all the teams that the guys play against
Okay.
are zombies.
Why? Why do zombies organize to play volleyball?
You're gonna
Why
need
do
to
any of
think
us
the
do
lore.
anything,
Yeah.
Lee? That's the real question. And if you have to ask it, it's too late.
Is that what they say?
That's the tagline for the show.
If you have to ask it, it's too late.
It's too late.
Well, thank you for the question, Alex. Or non-regular Alex?
It's just Alex.
It's just Alex. It's just Alex.
And it's not Alex level.
And to everyone listening, if you want to get your question answered, make sure that you put it in a comment or fill out our question form. It's got.cr/anime effect questions, or wherever you're listening, you could drop a comment.
This is really serious. Look at me. Look at me. I want to challenge each and every single one of you to wherever you're watching right now, listening. If it's not on Apple and Spotify, you're going to go to either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or both even, and you're going to leave a 5-star review. Count how many fingers on this hand, including my thumb, and that's 5. 5, including thumb and pinky.
Is the thumb not a finger?
Pinky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I want to see that number go up by like at least 5 in the next week, guys. So that's it. That's the challenge. It's so serious. It's so for real and urgent. And that's all I have. LeAlec, do you want to take us out with a Star Wipe? The
Star Wipes are back. They're back. Thank you for joining us for this amazing tokusatsu loaded episode of the Anime Effect, brought to you by Crunchyroll. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
I am subscribed. Stop reminding me every week. The Anime Effect is hosted by me, Nick Friedman, alongside the incomparable LeAlec Murray and the indispensable
and the comparable
the indispensable Leah President. The show is executive produced by Leah President and me. Our showrunner is Megan Peters, who loves Genshin Impact, and our marketing producer is Carla Solorzano, who loves Hatsune Miku. Mm-hmm. As always, a special thanks to Sean Michael Colon, who loves Protest the Hero and is wearing that t-shirt today, for editing and mixing this week's episode.
We will be right back next Friday.
After these messages.
Back.
It'll be here sooner than you know because time marches on.
Next Friday, more
quicker
anime.
and quicker.
Anime NYC is coming. What can you do about it?
There's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I love you.
Later days, y'all.
It's different.